All right. Let's dive into what are the biggest Premier League matches we've seen this season, huh? Manchester City, Chelsea.
Yeah.
This was more than just a game, though, right?
Yeah.
We saw title implications. I mean, incredible goals, and even a little sneak peek at, like, what the future holds for these two clubs. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
And we got a lot to unpack, thankfully. Post-match analysis, reactions from Pep and Enzo Maresca, and even, get this, some insights from Erling Haaland.
That's right. Lots to dig into. I mean, anyone could just look at the final score and think, oh, typical Man City win. But trust me, this match was anything but straightforward. I mean, Chelsea came out swinging, scored early.
Oh, yeah.
Really put the pressure on, you know.
It really felt like they were going to run away with it at first. What were they doing so well in those first few minutes?
Well, they really exploited a weakness you don't often see with City, that high defensive line.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, the defenders push up the pitch, try to squeeze the space, you know. Usually works for City. Lets them press high, win the ball back quickly.
Right.
But Chelsea, they use those direct passes, their speed, caught them off guard, I think.
So even with all their experience, even a team like Man City can get caught sleeping.
Absolutely. And honestly, Chelsea could have really capitalized on that early momentum, you know. Created a bunch of clear chances, but just couldn't finish them.
Right.
And in football, those missed chances, well, they come back to bite you.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly what happened here.
So they're playing well, creating chances, but just not putting them away. Is that bad luck or something more?
Well, that's where the analysis gets interesting. We can actually measure those missed chances. There's this metric, expected goals, XG.
Okay.
Basically, it calculates like how likely a shot is to become a goal, you know, based on distance, angle, life of shot. And Chelsea's XG in that first half, way higher than the one goal they actually got. So they were underperforming given the quality of chances they had.
So not just bad luck then, huh? They had the opportunity.
They had the opportunities.
They just couldn't capitalize.
Yeah.
And if you really dig into it, some of those misses, individual errors, hesitation, you know, maybe some nerves under pressure.
I mean, leaving the door open against Man City, that's a recipe for disaster.
Oh, for sure.
Especially after that Champions League shocker midweek, right?
Yeah.
I bet they were itching to bounce back.
Oh, they were. And bounce back they did. Second half, huge momentum shift. And it was mainly down to, well, you know, the man of the moment, Erling Haaland.
5 goals in 5 Premier League games. After that, so-called dry spell?
Right.
Unbelievable.
It's not just the goals, though. It's the how, you know. His movement off the ball, the anticipation.
Finding space in the box, all top-notch. And against Chelsea, we saw it in full effect.
That second goal was something else. That long pass from Ederson right into Haaland's path, and then the finish.
Clinical.
That goal.
Yeah.
Prime example of City exploiting Chelsea's tactics, actually.
Really?
They were playing man marking, so each defender's got a specific attacker instead of defending his own. Can be effective, but it's got weaknesses. Attackers cause confusion, pull defenders out of position. Suddenly there's gaps. That's what City did.
So Haaland's running free, defenders are chasing shadows, and Ederson sees the opening.
Yep.
That's some serious awareness from everyone involved.
It was like they'd rehearsed it, honestly. And later, Haaland actually said they do practice those long passes specifically to take advantage of man marking, like a choreographed play.
Wow.
Yeah.
So City's playing 4D chess, Chelsea's walking into a trap, and Haaland's the trigger man. No wonder the commentators were losing their minds. Oh, they were all over Chelsea's defensive errors, especially those two, where Haaland's basically one-on-one with Chalobah. Called it naive. Like, they were handing Haaland exactly what he wanted.
I mean, can't imagine the pressure of defending against him, but they did make it look pretty easy at times.
Well, unless you've got a defender like, I don't know, Van Dijk or Saliba, that speed and strength containing Haaland one-on-one is near impossible. His physicality, the anticipation, just so hard to mark effectively.
So, City's resilience, Haaland's heroics aside, we got to talk tactics, right?
Yeah.
It sounds like there was a lot going on beneath the surface.
Absolutely. It wasn't just individual brilliance. This was a tactical battle between two totally different styles, you know. City, with their possession game, just patiently probing, waiting for that perfect moment to strike.
Chelsea, though, they seemed kind of content to, like, sit back, absorb the pressure, and then try to hit City on the counter.
Yeah.
But were they maybe too passive?
That's a great question, you know. Enzo Maresca, Chelsea's manager, he's known for being pretty pragmatic, building a young team there, lots of potential.
Yeah.
But they're still developing, learning to compete at this level. Against a team like City, sometimes a more cautious approach.
Right.
It just makes sense.
So not necessarily a mistake, but maybe a sign that Chelsea's still figuring out how to really challenge the top dogs.
Exactly. And it's interesting, you compare Maresca's approach with Pep, right?
Oh, yeah.
Pep, always about controlling the game, possession, possession, possession. Even said after the match, having more of the ball than the last games gave them more chances to dictate the tempo,
Right.
Yeah.
Some would say Pep's possession style gets, predictable. Maybe even a little boring sometimes.
Right.
Did you see any of that in this match?
Mm-hmm.
Or were City able to keep things fresh?
Well, one thing that makes Pep's system so effective, it's the flexibility, It's not just keeping the ball to keep it. It's about using that possession, creating those overloads, pulling the opposition out, and then, bam, exploiting those gaps with those quick passes.
Right, yeah.
And against Chelsea, we saw some brilliant examples of that.
Like that move that led to Foden's goal. I mean, it's like watching pinball. The ball just zipping around between City players, Chelsea defenders just scrambling.
Exactly. And just when you think Chelsea might weather the storm, Foden, boom, pops up in the box, perfect timing, buries it. Classic Pep Guardiola goal.
Classic.
Okay.
Foden's been on fire this season, scoring his fourth straight Premier League match.
That's right.
But let's flip to the other end of the pitch for City, because John Stones' debut, well, that didn't quite go as planned, did it?
Yeah, that was a tough one for Stones.
Yeah.
Struggled to settle in, some costly errors. It
Yeah.
just looked a bit out of sorts, honestly. But Pep, always the pragmatist, acknowledged it, said integrating new players under that kind of pressure, it's not easy. Called it an education for Stones.
It's a bold move. Throwing a new player into a match like that magnitude. You think Pep regretted it?
Hard to say. He clearly sees the potential in Stones, And he pointed out that this was a chance to give him some minutes.
Right.
Especially since Stones won't be available for the midweek fixture.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah, baptism by fire, but maybe, a good learning experience in the long run.
Right. Got to learn somehow. Okay. Got to talk about Chelsea's goalkeeper, Robert Sanchez, though.
Oh, yeah.
That was a major talking point after the match, wasn't it?
It was.
Let's be honest. Those two errors that led to Haaland's goals, those were howlers.
Yeah.
Commentators did not hold back.
They did not. Look, it's easy to criticize after the fact, but those were big mistakes, definitely costly. And it's not the first time Sanchez has made errors that, have led to goals. It's something that could really hurt Chelsea if it keeps happening.
You think Maresca sticks with him or starts looking for another option, someone more reliable?
It's a tough one, I mean, Sanchez, he's talented. He's got the potential to be world-class. Dropping him now, that could shake his confidence,
Yeah.
Might hurt his development. But then again, those errors were costly. And Chelsea, if they want to compete at the top, got to be ruthless.
It's that classic manager's dilemma, right? Balancing faith in a player with the need for results right now.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a huge decision for Chelsea's season.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how Maresca handles it. But let's shift gears back to the overall tactical battle, because there's a lot to unpack there.
Yes. Beyond those individual errors and brilliant moments, what were the key takeaways tactically from this match?
Well, as we said, City, they played their typical possession game, patiently waiting for those openings.
Right.
They recognized Chelsea's man marking. It could be stretched, Move the ball quickly, create overloads out wide.
It's like they were playing 4D chess out there.
That's a good way to put it. They were anticipating Chelsea's moves and then countering them with precision.
And the way they used Haaland as that focal point, that was brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
Drawing defenders out, creating space for those midfield runners,
Yep.
and then exploiting those gaps with those quick passes.
Textbook attacking football.
Those two Haaland goals were like perfect examples of that.
Absolutely.
Both times, City patiently working the ball side to side, pulling Chelsea's defenders out of position, and then boom, that perfectly weighted pass. Haaland's one-on-one with Sanchez.
Yep.
Chelsea, got to give them credit. They defended well for a lot of the match.
They did.
But just couldn't handle that relentless pressure, that ability City has to find that killer pass.
Yeah, it was tough.
Sounds like they were, I don't know, up against an unstoppable force.
Yeah.
But we can't forget those early chances Chelsea created. I mean, if they converted even one or two of those, could have been a completely different game.
that's what makes football so exciting, you know?
It is. It is.
Sometimes it comes down to those fine margins, individual moments, those costly errors.
Yeah, and this match had it all. But let's not forget the mental side of this game, because both teams, they had some adversity to overcome.
Yeah.
City coming off that Champions League loss, Chelsea facing the champs at home, all that pressure. How'd they handle it?
That's a great point. It's interesting how both teams responded, you know? City going down a goal, still kind of reeling from that Champions League defeat.
Yeah.
Could have easily crumbled, but they didn't, you know? They showed real composure, like they believed they could turn it around. I think that's a testament to their mental strength and, you know, their experience in these kind of high-pressure matches.
Right. They've been there before. They know even the best teams, you know, stumble sometimes.
Yeah.
But what impressed me was how they channeled that frustration. They've turned it into something positive, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Instead of panicking, they stuck to the plan, kept the ball moving, and essentially the goals came.
Exactly.
Chelsea, though, they seemed to kind of lose their nerve after, you know, not making the most of that early lead. Those missed chances, the defensive mistakes, the frustration building up. It's like it all added to a sense of, I don't know, unease.
It's understandable, though. I mean, that they are a young team still learning to handle the pressure cooker of this level. And against a team like City, you know, any little slip in concentration and it can be deadly.
So a good learning experience for Chelsea, but maybe a little worrying for their title hopes.
It's too early to say for sure. They've got tons of talent in Maresca. He's building something special there for sure. But got to find a way to be more consistent, you know, especially against the top teams, if they want to be in that title race.
Right. Okay. So we've covered the tactics, the mental side, the individual performances, but got to touch on those debuts before we wrap things up.
Yeah.
Omar Marmish for City, and of course, John Stones at Chelsea. Quite a contrast in first impressions, I'd say.
Oh yeah, Marmish definitely showed some promise. He was lively, made some dangerous runs, almost scored. It was a good glimpse of what he can bring to this City team.
I particularly liked his link-up play with Haaland.
Yeah.
It's like they already have that natural understanding. Excited to see how that partnership develops.
Yes, Haaland actually spoke really highly of Marmish after the match, hinted at, you know, the potential for a pretty dangerous partnership down the line.
It's like they're already building a new attacking dynasty right in front of us.
Yeah.
Which raises an interesting question, right? Does Marmish's arrival mean we're going to see a shift in City's attack? Will they become even more direct, using his speed to create more space for Haaland? Yeah,
it's definitely something to watch for sure. But, you know, on the other side of the coin, we got John Stones, whose debut for Chelsea, well, that wasn't quite as impressive.
Yeah, he did seem to struggle to settle in, made a few costly errors, and just looked, I don't know, a bit out of place.
Yeah.
To be fair to Stones, though, tough match to make your debut, right?
Yeah.
Especially coming into a team that's still finding their groove. But like we said earlier, even the most experienced players, they need time to adjust.
They do. They do. It's a whole new environment.
So some patience needed for Stones and for Chelsea as a whole. Absolutely.
You can't write them off based on one performance. They got a lot of talent. And a manager who's, you know, clearly thinking long term. It's just a matter of time, you know, before everything starts clicking.
Well, this match has definitely given us a lot to think about.
It has.
City's dominance, Chelsea's potential, Haaland's just brilliance, the tactical battle, the mental game. It was like a perfect example of everything that makes the Premier League so captivating.
Absolutely. I think it also kind of highlights some themes that, you know, go beyond just football.
Oh.
Well, we saw how important resilience is, you know, bouncing back from setbacks, never giving up. We saw the power of individual brilliance for sure, but also, you know, the importance of teamwork, tactical discipline, and even the best teams. They can be vulnerable, you know, if they don't adapt to the challenges in front of them.
So as you're thinking about this match, you know, think about where you see those same things at work in your own life. Where do you need to be more resilient? Where can you kind of unleash your own brilliance? And how can you work better as part of a team? Because at the end of the day, whether it's on the pitch or in our everyday lives, it's our ability to adapt, to learn, to grow. That's what determines our success. Well said. This has been a fascinating deep dive into a truly memorable match. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time on The Deep Dive.